It was an urgent family matter that brought me for an extended stay to the city that will be the subject of my next series of vlogs from Travels with Lobo. Easy enough, just fly with WestJet from Victoria, British Columbia to Windsor, Ontario, Canada. In Windsor, go to the waterfront on the Detroit River, and this is the impressive skyline that you will see. Granted, it's not New York City, but nevertheless, for the Midwest, this is an impressive skyline. The Detroit River is the international border between Canada and the United States at this point. So somehow you've got to get to Detroit either by the Ambassador Bridge or by the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel. And once you get past the intensive border crossing, in the background you will notice the GM Ren Center reflecting a new Detroit. This distinction was added only recently when Lonely Planet named Detroit the number 2 go-to city in the world after Seville, Spain for 2018. The slogan attached to the city of Detroit, as long as I can remember, was Detroit, the Motor City. The new slogan is Detroit, America's Great Comeback City. It was the automobile industry that provided the economic engine to make Detroit, by 1950, one of the wealthiest cities in the United States. For various reasons, that economic engine started to sputter in the 1960s. Its population declined from 2 million in 1950 to less than 700,000 today, as Detroit lost more than 90% of its mid-century peak of 200,000 factory jobs. So on my days off, so to speak, I would hit Rochester Road and then I-75 and head for downtown Detroit to shoot video for this ongoing series. To date, I've shot about 10 hours, and there are many more hours to go to tell this great story of the city of Detroit. In my opinion, the best gripping story of any American city. And here are some examples of clips that you'll be seeing in future vlogs in no particular order.
Hi, I'm Deanna Mychek, the Media Relations Manager with the Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau.
And we are here to discuss the new Detroit. The new Detroit, not the Motor City, but the new Detroit, which now has a new slogan, and that is, Deanna?
America's Great Comeback City.
Wow, how impressive. That's what caught my imagination. Now, we'd like to know some of the reasons why Detroit is called the Comeback City.
There's quite a few reasons.
I'm at a very famous intersection in East Detroit. That would be Paquette and Beaubien. Behind me is the first Ford Motor Company automotive plant, built in 1904. The cars were all identified by letters of the alphabet, and the one most of us know is the famous Model T. That was constructed here behind me until Ford moved production to the Highland Park plant. So it doesn't get more historic than this as far as automobiles are concerned. Right here in Detroit, Michigan.
John, watch out.
Stand next to that lady there. You go over.
Let me get off.
Wow, you guys are pretty.
Thank you. Are you from Detroit?
Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, on the Pacific Coast near Seattle.
Oh, Seattle, that's far.
Creektown's been around a lot of years. I'd say over 100.
100 years.
You know, Parthenon's been here close to 50, and they had a lot of other great restaurants in this area.
Right.
Grecian Gardens, Hella's, you can go on and on. 3 years.
Holy mackerel, 30 years.
And Dan Gilbert and Illich, they've done a lot of great things for the downtown area. And
Who's that?
Dan Gilbert from the, he owns the casino.
The casino.
And Mike Illich from
The hockey.
from the hockey.
Yeah, right.
And
And I
they've
believe he
they
passed
keep
away,
drawing
right?
a lot of business this way.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.
All of you.
Thank you very much.
All the best to you, and hopefully you got another 30 years to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're working on it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
No name is bigger in the redevelopment of Detroit than Dan Gilbert, the founder of Quicken Loans, who's purchased or taken out long-term leases on 60 properties in downtown Detroit. That is the future of Detroit. To engage in a little bit of hyperbole, when I look at all of Dan Gilbert's plans for Detroit, I think Dan Gilbert himself is going to make Detroit great again. The Red Wings have had terrific teams over the years. In the last few years, they've finally declined. But previous to that, they were terrific. And I see there is Mike Illich, the late owner of the team. Mike Illich. Another giant in the redevelopment of the new Detroit is the late Mike Illich, co-owner with his wife of Little Caesars Pizza, the old Joe Louis Hockey Arena, the Detroit Tigers, the Detroit Red Wings, the new Little Caesars Arena, now the home of the Detroit Red Wings, and the Fox Theater.
Here in Detroit, football is the #1 sport.
Right. And across the street.
There's baseball, and then you got hockey and basketball, which really aren't that good here. So we mainly focus our attention on the football team.
Fantastic. Let's hope that the Lions win today.
That's really hope.
Yay, Lions.
Go Lions.
Seen from Woodward Avenue, the main street in Detroit, Comerica Park, home of the Detroit Tigers. Detroit, having been the great city that it was, has a rich heritage of theater, highlighted by the Fox and the Fisher Theater, among others. It is said that only Broadway in New York had more theater capacity than Detroit. At its peak, Detroit was a world-renowned city, personified by its art museum, the Detroit Institute of Arts, world-renowned, including the Diego Rivera murals, a must-see. When Detroit filed for bankruptcy in 2013, there was talk of selling off some of its art treasures. That, fortunately, did not happen.
Game room? Or do you want to go back? Thank you.
together as one. We all
This
are
is
as one.
this is Detroit, first of all, right?
Yes.
And we're standing in front of the Bathtub Pub. And you guys are friends.
Yeah.
Are you best buds?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
We together as one.
As one.
As one.
That's pretty
That
close.
would make us so
Close,
strong.
you can't get closer.
Strong.
Yeah.
World famous Motown. I took the tour. It cost $10, and I must say it was the best tour I ever took. I learned that Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown, worked for a short time on the Ford assembly line. He hated it, saying it was the worst job he ever had. But he learned the principles of the assembly line that he applied to Motown performers, literally producing stars. So here is Lobo, extremely happy to be at the world-famous Fisher Building. It would have been unfortunate to miss the Fisher Building. Its splendor reminded me of a mosque in the Islamic world. What I learned about the Fisher brothers, who produced the first body for the world's first enclosed car, can only be described as another amazing Detroit story. It was also here at the Fisher Building that the legendary works of Detroit architect Albert Kahn came to my full realization. It was here at Grand Circus Park, just under the People Mover, that I discovered the lobby of the Detroit Aloft Hotel, right in the David Whitney building. Recognizing the potential in the vacant and deteriorating David Whitney building, and for investing in its rebirth, and that's what Detroit is all about. The new comeback city of America. Lobo coming to you from Corktown, a part of Detroit where located was the former railway station that was so magnificent in this part of Detroit. Now no longer, of course, used, totally abandoned. But nevertheless, maybe at some point we'll have a new life. Detroit is full of old industrial sites, but the best one is the old Packard plant, closed in 1958. In the best spirit of the revitalization of Detroit, note right here, condominiums, living space in desolated industrial sites. And notice those beautiful, beautiful Packard cars that were put out of business by the Big Three. And here, in my best example of industrial porn, I insanely enter where I should not enter. And look at the inside of these abandoned industrial sites, full of markings from local gangs, stripped of any valuable wiring, copper tubing, anything of value was removed a long time ago by intruders. And who wouldn't want to walk down here in memory lane, not knowing what was waiting for you? It is my hope that this trailer has piqued your interest in Detroit, this intriguing city, enough to subscribe and join me every Friday for the next 20 or so weeks to unravel the mysteries of Detroit. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, please give it a thumbs up. And just ahead is the Detroit River, and on the other side, the casino in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. My home and native land. See you next Friday. Thank you.